YouTube, Shukin Shinobi here with a review of the Power Rangers Super Megaforce Megazord Figures Wave 1 featuring the Legendary Megazord and the Wild Force Megazord. Alright, so real quick, just to get the Wild Force Megazord out of the way, I did not purchase it again, obviously. But this is the one released back in RPM. It is the same exact toy, just re-released. The paint is probably going to be a little bit different if you buy the new release. I know the re-release of the Dino Megazord from MMPR was painted a little bit different than the one that was released during RPM. So the paint applications on any one that you buy for Super Megaforce will probably be a little bit different. But again, this was a very early style Retrofire figure. Swivels right here, turn around there, swivel. Still had the same hip joint, which is nice, and a swivel right there at the thigh, but no real foot action going on down here. So all in all, the originals were really bad. If you're a huge fan of Wild Force, I do recommend picking it up, but if you're looking for a good action figure, this certainly is not it. So now on to the bread and butter of this video. We have the Legendary Megazord, or Gokaiyo if you're a Gokaiger fan. Now this did have a Super Robot Chogokin release, and I will take a quick comparison look at that when I'm done reviewing this figure. Long story short, if you want detail, get the Super Robot Chogokin. However, this is not a bad action figure by any means. It is missing some paint applications. Preferably, I would have liked to see the logos colored in, but it seems no matter what version of the Legendary Megazord you buy, you're always going to get screwed out of white skull and crossbones design over here, which is a shame. I can easily just add white out or white paint onto that and spruce it up. There we go. Same thing back here. No huge paint applications. Some gold in the wheel would have been nice, but not a whole lot going on in terms of the design itself. One thing you are going to notice right away is that if you compare the Deluxe, you will notice the leg difference here. It should be white along here and yellow along here, but instead they just decided to make it black plastic. Now that was probably out of laziness and budgetary restrictions, more than laziness, to be honest. Everything people deem lazy about a toy is usually because of budget restrictions, not because they're lazy. They're a toy company, they're not lazy. But budgetary restrictions, obviously, like this is all green plastic. They didn't want to have to mold in white and yellow and black and green and blue, because that does add up the costs quite a bit. Granted, I would have liked to see it painted, but again, costs. You can end up either painting it yourself or leave it as is. To be honest, I really like the legs like this. The Mini Pla release of Gokaiyo had the sub in black, again because of budgetary restrictions, because it's a candy toy line. The yellow was yellow, but the sub was black. And I like what they did here because it really does tie everything together really well. Because you have the black running all the way through the legs, through the legs, up into the hips, up through the body, and then on the sides of the arms here, as well as up there. And it really does tie everything together. Now, granted, a lot of this comes from the fact that I really dig designs that are a little bit more coherent and less zombie color. So I'm a huge fan of this figure. I really like the way it looks. It's not screen accurate by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. However, it looks really nice, and that's what matters to me in a figure, is that it looks nice. Poseability-wise, you have the standard level of articulation that the Megazord figures are currently bringing, which is a lot better than the early Retrofires. So you have full rotation up here, pin and swivel up there, as well as right here at the elbow, swiveling at the hands, full rotation of the head, full rotation of the waist, same joint right up here. These hip guards do not move, actually, if anyone was curious about that. Single joint at the knee, and of course, movement down here at the foot. So, perfectly fine amounts of articulation. Outside of an ankle swivel, there's really not a whole lot missing here. I would have liked to see a little bit more movement in the shoulder, but given the fact that these shoulder pads rotate with the shoulder, you are losing out on pretty much nothing. So you can get a lot of really cool sword fighting poses. He's covering his face. but it looks cool from my angle. But still really cool. I love these figures, and I'm really glad that they did this for Go-Kaio. Now, as I mentioned before, there is a Super Robot Chogokin release, and that is right here. There's diecast on this, paint up the wazoo. It is screen accurate. You got the screen accurate swords, fully painted everywhere. It is an absolutely fantastic figure, and I will link to the full review at the very end card of this video, so if you want to check that out, click on the annotation, and head there at the end of this review. But this will cost you anywhere from $40 to $60 on average, so it is not cheap by any means. But if you want detail, this is the way to go. So finally, if you do not want him to hold the swords, they simply peg right into the side here, just like this. Again, they're the same sword, so you miss that little handle guard thing, and they are quite long, so they stick out quite a bit. But the option is there, and again, just all in all, really cool. Is this a great figure? I think so. It's got its flaws, missing a lot of paint applications, but with Bandai of America, that's something to be expected. And just the toy economy in the US, you're not going to get a whole lot from a kid's toy line. However, it's got the articulation it needs, it's got its two weapons, and I really like the design choices they made, while keeping budget, but still looking pretty cool. There's a couple paint applications I might fill in at the end, but all in all, I'm really happy for it. If detail and articulation is something that you want, hunt down the Super Robot Chogokin. I have no idea if Bluefin is going to release it over here. They never released Shinkeno during Samurai, so I'm not expecting them to release Go-Kaio over here. But given the whole anniversary thing, they might try to pump it out. Not sure, you're going to have to ask them directly. But regardless of whether you import or whether they bring it over domestic, you're looking at $40 to $60 for that figure, compared to the $12.99 to $14.99 of this one. So keep your budget in mind. For the price of this toy, I think it's really great. I like the way it looks, and it looks great with the other Retrofires released beforehand. And in fact, kind of blows them out of the water because it's a really great figure. Thanks for watching, take care, and have a great one. Bye.